Okay, I am back again through the internet to teach you about proportions. These are going to be important when we start looking at similar triangles upon my return. So a proportion is two ratios that are equal. So typically we will use a proportion when we know 3 of the 4 values in our situation to find the missing one. So you've got A, B, C, and D here. So your two fractions are equal. And remember, your denominators cannot be 0 because we can't divide by 0. This can also be written in that ratio notation. A to B is equal to C to D. So again, a ratio is just division. Proportions are two equal ratios. And cross products are how we solve proportions. It's the result of multiplying the numerator of one ratio by the denominator of the other, or your opposite value. So if I have A over B is equal to C over D, the cross product of that would be multiplying B and C and A and D. So sometimes you'll see that as like your butterfly method. It's just another proper terminology for that. So you do your multiplication, and then that gives you an equation that you can typically solve. So if we were going to do this first example, here is my proportion. I'm going to use my cross product. So 5 times 6 gives me 30. And then 8 times 9 gives me 9x. So that's my cross multiplication. To then solve for x, I'm going to divide both sides by 9. And I get that x is equal to 30 over 9. That's not going to divide evenly, but both of those numbers are divisible by 3, so I can simplify it. Okay. Another way where real-world situation where you can see these is in a recipe, kind of like what we did last time with the ratio, but I don't know what I need to multiply by. So if I've got 4 cups of flour to 10 makes 10 cookies, and I want to make 25 cookies. 10, there's not a number I know off the top of my head that can multiply to 25, so I can set up a ratio. I know in the original recipe, 4 cups of flour makes 10 cookies, so I want to know how many cups of flour makes 25 cookies. And I'm solving for that missing value. I'm going to use my cross product. Divide. And I get that x is 10, so 10 cups of flour. Okay, another way you might see these are with these linear proportions, and I'm going to put parentheses around these expressions because when I'm doing my cross product, it's going to be very important that I remember to distribute. And I'm going to be doing that on both sides, so I'm going to distribute the 4 to the x and the negative 8. And on the other side, I'm going to distribute the 3 to the x and the negative 3. Now I want to get all my x's together, all my constants together. And I'm going to get that x is equal to 23. Okay, another one for good measure, putting parentheses so that I remember to include that with my cross product. Distributing the 2, distributing the 7, getting all my constants together, and I get, after I divide both sides by 5, that x is 0. Okay, another way you might see this is you're setting it up yourself with a word problem. So a grocery store sells a bag of 7 oranges for $4.83. How much would it cost for 12 oranges? So if 7 oranges is $4.83, that would be equivalent to 12 oranges for some amount of money. So I have set up my proportion, and now I can do my cross product. So 7x is going to be equal to 12 times 483 is 57.96. So I can divide both sides by 7 now, and I get that my price for 12 oranges is going to be $8.28. Percents, again, percent just means per 100. So by definition, that is a ratio. So what is 36% of 675? Well, 36%, that means 36 out of 100. That's going to be equal to some amount out of 675. So I can use my cross product now to find that x is 243. Okay, another percent one, but this one's setup is going to be a little bit different. 66 is what percent of 120? So I'm looking for 66 out of 120, and I want that as a percent. So that means per 100. I want to know what the percent is. So still going to cross multiply. 120x equals 6,600. Divide. And I get that x is 55. So that would be 55%. Okay, that wraps up our proportion notes. Please go ahead and do that next Delta Math assignment. No quizzes today, but we will be using these ratios and proportions on our next lesson on Friday.